the UFC, and Dana White back in Jax again for the third time in a few years, and we're happy to, for the same amount of time, have Dana White, president of the UFC, join us here on Action Sports Jax. Brent Martineau, along with, of course, MMA fighter and my co-host Austen Lane, and Kasey Kuhrts as well. Dana, welcome back to Jacksonville, man, and thanks for taking a few minutes. How much momentum have you guys built in the River City coming off the pandemic and the last couple of fights and the cards that you've had?
Thanks for having me, boys, and it's good to be back. No, I said it a million times, and I'll say it again. This city was great to us through COVID, and I said I would, and I am, and I will reciprocate. So here we are again.
Yeah, and Danny, we talk about it, I mean, quite the card. You know, UFC 273 taking place at Vistar Veterans Memorial Arena, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski and the Korean Zombie. You heard Alexander coming into the show right now. You know, this is a guy who has kind of beat the who's who, beat Max Holloway twice, was supposed to fight him the third time. Holloway backed out, now fighting Korean Zombie. If he does, you know, pass this test, which is a hard test in the Korean Zombie, I mean, would you want to see Volkanovski go up or down, or do you want to see him stay where he's at and keep defending the belt?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's up to him. It's you know, he's on a 20-fight win streak. You know, and like you said, he's beat the who's who in this division, and he's starting to become a star, man. It's up to him, whatever he wants to do.
Dana, thanks for joining us. Kasey Kuhrts here to ask you this one. You've got 2 title fights in this one. It's going to be a great card in Jacksonville. In those 2 title fights, you have competitors from 4 different continents. How much pride do you have in not only making the UFC a huge thing here in the States, but also internationally as well?
Yeah, no, there's people from all over the world on this card. It's a very, very international card, and I love it. I mean, I said 20 years ago that, you know, I was setting out to make this the biggest sport in the world, and that we would, you know, we would literally put on fights everywhere. And we've been doing it, and we continue to grow and continue to get, you know, what's crazy is when I was growing up, your parents would put you in karate or taekwondo or something like that. This is the new martial art that people are training in all over the world. And now that there's, you know, this thing's on such a high level, you have people from all over the world now training in mixed martial arts. So.
Joined by UFC. Oh, sorry, Dana. Joined by UFC President Dana White here. Dana, you know, everyone's talking about the main event and the co-main event, but to me, the real big fight on this card is Gilbert Burns taking on Khamzat Chimaev. And you talk about a guy in Chimaev, and maybe you don't like the term, but, you know, in terms of hype train, I mean, we've seen hype trains before. I mean, we saw Conor when he was first starting out. You know, Darren Till when he was first starting out. We've seen Paddy the Baddy now kind of be the latest hype train. But nobody, in my opinion, has been the bigger hype train than Chimaev, because just the way that he's looked so dominant against pretty tough competition, taking on a guy in Gilbert Burns now. Are we overlooking Gilbert Burns in his jiu-jitsu? I mean, world class, has won championships, or is Chimaev just that good according to the odds makers in Vegas?
Yeah, listen, if you look at what Chimaev has done and the punch stats, I can't remember what the punch stat is. You remember the punch stats? It's like 100 and something to 1 or something like that, and his fights that he's had. The one being the only time he's ever gotten hit, which is crazy. You know, but let's not forget, Gilbert Burns is the number 2 ranked guy in the world. Power in both hands to knock people out in an unbelievable ground game. So this guy's no joke, and anything can happen in this sport.
Well, and keep in mind, too, Gilbert Burns was literally inches away from knocking out Kamaru Usman. He knocked him down. Unfortunately, couldn't finish that fight. So, yeah, Gilbert Burns is no slouch himself. It's going to be a fantastic fight. So some big news coming out from you guys the past week or so is now there's going to be a fan vote performance bonus. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came in to be?
We put out something that said there's going to be a fan vote for performance bonus.
Yeah.
I know nothing about that.
Okay, so supposedly
that didn't come from me.
Okay, well, supposedly what the news is that there's going to be a fan vote performance bonus, and that fighter is going to get, I think, 5 figures of crypto. So that was news around the UFC.
Yeah. Okay. Crypto. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Dana, so, you know, you had a fight a couple weeks back there in England, and I think the whole city of London showed out for that card, and it really showed you that, hey, if you take this thing back on the road, people are going to receive it very well. Now that we're kind of on the back end of the pandemic and everything, are you going to take the show more on the road across country and all around the U.S. again?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the pandemic. I'm going to go to places that are easy to get into, easy to, you know, to run the business. You know, the UK assured us that we would be able to go there and put on an event, get people in the country, and do what we needed to do. And it was incredible. So, I'm looking forward to traveling again and, living like we did before 20.
Dana White with us, Action Sports Jax on ESPN690. Dana, obviously the main card is incredible. I want to talk to you about the prelims, though. Ian Gary, I'm a fan of him. Believe it's going to be his second UFC fight. Give me some information on this guy. I love him. Why should other people learn to love him?
Yeah, so he's fighting out of Dublin, Ireland. He's 8-0, undefeated, and he's going in against a guy named Darian Weeks, who is a bad boy too. This kid went. He went 5-0. I think he had 5 straight finishes, and then his one loss is he on short notice. He fought Brian Barberina, who was just had that fight with. Last week he just fought the stud, the legend. What's his name?
He's talking about Matt Brown.
Matt Brown, yeah.
The mortal, yeah.
Had that war
yes.
week.
Yes.
That's this kid's only loss. He took that fight with 5 fights on short notice.
Yeah.
So this is not an easy fight for Ian. This is going to be an absolute war. I was just up on stage with those guys 5 minutes ago, and they're both hyped up, and I was just telling them I'm so pumped for this fight.
Well, Dana, you mentioned, you just got off the stage from the weigh-ins. In terms of the energy, because, that's the great thing about weighing in. You can feel those fighters' energy. What energy did you feel the most in terms of, okay, this fight's going to be a real barn burner?
Yeah, those two were. Those two definitely were. And obviously Chimaev and Burns, those two started to get too close. We had to pull them apart. Everybody's fired up. The Jacksonville fans here were great. Everybody's going crazy. Great energy in the building. Tomorrow night's going to be insane.
All right, Dan, we got a few more questions for you. We're going to let you go, man. So Tony Khan last year came out and said that you guys actually have shared a few phone conversations. How did that relationship come into place where you were talking to Tony Khan, or is that even true?
Yeah, during the pandemic, when I came out here, I actually had dinner with him and his father on their boat. And, great people, really like them a lot. He hit me up yesterday and wished me luck for tomorrow night, and I told him if you want tickets, let me know. So, yeah, I really like that family.
All right, man. It wouldn't be ESPN690 if we didn't ask you at least one football question. The AFC East, is it the Buffalo Bills now, or do the Patriots still have a chance to win that thing?
Come on, man. Come on. Now you're asking stupid questions, all right? First of all, I hate the Buffalo Bills, number one. Number two, yes, of course the Patriots are going to win the AFC East. You know what sucks, though? I'll tell you what sucks. I've been a Buffalo Bill hater my entire life. And I respect their quarterback so much now that it's almost hard for me to hate them as bad as I used to because of their quarterback, because he's an absolute stud, man. Stud.
Yeah, he really is good. Dana White, president UFC. I've got one last one for you, Dana. You've climbed with this thing, and it's been such a success. I don't mean plateau in a negative way, but can you plateau and stay in a comfort zone, or is there another next step to get to with what you're doing?
Guys, think about this, right? Okay, I'm real simple. If you look at the NFL, there's nothing bigger than the NFL in the United States. Mm-hmm. But not the rest of the world could care less about the NFL. If I asked anybody on this phone right now, without time to Google, tell me right now, without time to Google, who's the greatest cricket player to ever live? Come on, spit it out.
I couldn't tell you one.
You got me stumped, Dana.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares. But in other parts of the world, they love it. This thing works everywhere. Fighting works everywhere. It doesn't have to be explained. People get it, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, we estimate that we have like 650 million fans worldwide. And what is there, 7 billion people in the world? There's no plateau. There is no plateau. There's only growth. And it's almost impossible to wrap your head around how big this thing can really be.
Wow, we love you coming back to Jacksonville. Good luck tomorrow night. We'll see you in Jacksonville for UFC 273. Dana White, appreciate the time, man.
Thanks, boys.